Hi guys, it's Dr. Stokes at Doc Mom MD. I just wanted to kind of touch base with everyone just to speak a little bit about the trauma that we have been going through as a nation. This has been a really challenging week, month, year, etc. 2020 has had a lot that is thrown at us. And I just wanted to talk about how that is impacting us as well as the children that I take care of. You know, when you look at the stressors that we have had to face, it's really hard to continue to keep going with the things that are required of us. You know, our families still need us, our children still need us. A lot of people are still working out or even working at home, and you can't stop that when you're dealing with emotional trauma. And what we have seen a lot in the pediatric population is just increased rates of anxiety and stress and even abuse towards children and people at home, just because of the stressors that everything that's going on right now. When I think about the patients that I've seen, we literally have seen behavioral issues, anxiety and stress from kids even as young as 3 and 4 years of age, all the way up into my teenagers. A lot of my children who've already had issues with depression and anxiety, this has just exacerbated everything. So for one, the shelter in place orders have made things just really challenging. You don't get that social context that you usually have. And then on top of that, when you're seeing all of the lives being affected and taken, and you just see that on the media and on social media platforms every single day. And even if you have younger children, if you allow them to be on devices or they're passing through the room when you are watching the news, those things start to affect them and they have lots of questions. So as adults, as we are dealing with our own issues and trying to figure out how to balance that emotionally and to try to be our best selves, we have to figure out how to support our children in that. So one thing is for yourselves, I definitely encourage you to develop a network if you have one that talks really about the emotions. Most people have someone to talk about the stressors and which side you may be on, and how this affects you as an individual and how some people may or may not understand. You definitely have an outlet for that. But really just talking about, what does this mean to me? How do I feel when this is going on? And how am I supposed to navigate that? Sometimes you're with your own thoughts and sometimes you're around other people who have things to say. And it can be really challenging to figure out how to do that. So just having a sounding board personally. The second thing that I always say is that everybody needs a good therapist, just like you need a good hairstylist. It's one of those things that is really important when you're trying to figure out how to feel about certain issues, and you may not feel like opening up to a friend or a family member or a coworker, just to have a sounding board to either offer advice or just a listening ear on how you can cope with things. So with my children, it's been kind of challenging sometimes finding a therapist that may or may not be a good fit. And when I say my children, I really specifically am talking about my patients right now. I really look at them as if they are my own as well. And so, a lot of times I tell parents this might be a good thing that we're dealing with the whole shelter in place, because telemedicine has become so much more popular. And whereas you might have had to choose a therapist based on geographic location, now you could actually talk to therapists around your area and not have to worry about just the logistics of traffic and getting there and not being there by work and things like that. So, trying to find a good fit. When it comes to trying to find a good therapist, we recognize, just like with your physicians, you may have the qualifications or the degrees, but it might not be the best fit for what you or your child may need. And sometimes you just have to try it. Again, the same way we do hairdressers, we try it and figure it out to see who works best for us. A lot of the kids will tell you they want, male versus female. young versus old. It really just depends on what you think your child would, what type of setting you think your child would thrive in. When you are talking to them about the issues, of course, it's really hard not to just immediately put our own feelings and emotions on our children. So we have to be really tempered in the way we respond to them and knowing what their personality is like and how they can handle a certain amount of information and explanation. Every child is different in that. So if they are having issues with depression and anxiety just at home, if you can see behavioral issues happening even with your little 3-year-olds, behavioral therapy can even be enacted during this period. All of us need support when it comes to our own children. I always look at it like there's one of us, and then if you're fortunate to have, more than one child, it's very likely that they won't be exactly like you. And just trying to figure out how can you help them can be really something that we all need support with. I think talking to our children and being honest with them is really important. Letting them express their emotions, and a lot of them can be really naive during this period, so allowing them to keep a little bit of that innocence, but also reminding them of what's going on in the climate and how that affects you on a daily basis, that's age appropriate. Literally, I was saying when it came to this week, I had gotten an influx of issues with my children who have special needs, and then others who, again, just may have other mental health issues. Teenagers have a lot of stressors anyway, things that my generation may not have had to deal with, and it's easier to unplug and stay away, but in their generation, they're not used to doing that, so they're going to need that support. If you see your teenager also trying to step away and trying to withdraw, this is the time that I say it's not time for privacy. Sometimes you have to be in their faces to make sure that they are okay and happy and healthy. So I really believe that if we are conscious about helping each other and really just trying to support each other during this season, from the ages of 3 to 93, we can get through this season together, okay? I would love for you to follow me on YouTube at Dr. Tashana Stokes, or on Instagram or Twitter at DocMomMD. Have a blessed weekend.